So, how is it going, everyone? Welcome to some more I Wanna Be the Boshy. And yeah, it is final boss time, basically. For pretty much, well, I just guess it's gonna be a pretty long time until I beat this fucker. So yeah, hope you are all ready to see me do this like 10,000 times. Well, I already died 10,000 times, so maybe we just need 10,000 more, right? I don't know. But I know that this is gonna be a pain in the ass. Oh, the volume. Yeah, let me decrease the volume. There. I think. Also, let me change the controls. And yeah. So basically, when it comes to, you know, the video upload, right? Because I always, you know, upload the videos of playthroughs that I'm playing. This one got, I also think I already say this in another stream, but this one got delayed, like the part uploading, because of one part that I have to, you know, join all the videos together. So I think I already solved it. Like, I thought like I already solved it before, but apparently the audio was out of sync, so yeah, I just have to upload it again. I think this time it's gonna work, but I don't know for sure. In any case, what I do know is that doesn't really matter, because it seems that this will take a pretty long time regardless, so yeah. But yeah, if it is solved, then I will start uploading the remaining parts as normal. Although I'm a little bit, you know, delayed, so I have to start uploading them a little bit faster. But yeah, I think I'm like 6 parts delayed, right? Like, kinda crazy, but hopefully I can already forget about that, because it's been bugging me the whole week. Especially with a game like this one, I wanna make sure every minute gets recorded and saved for the future, right? Okay, now the only thing I need to do is upload this new video and pray that both Twitch and YouTube don't fuck up the processing, which I don't know if they will or not, but I hope they don't fuck up, that is. I hope that they actually get uploaded nicely. And holy shit, I have to download 3 programs, and all of them were useless for what well, not exactly useless, but they just weren't what I was looking for, right? And on the 4th one that I downloaded, it seems that it actually did the trick. Although I will realize about that when I upload it, if it actually did the trick or not. I hope it did. I really want to forget about that whole stream that got cut in a lot of parts. I just want to forget about that and start, you know, worrying about actual important stuff like this boss. This boss being a piece of shit. That's more important to focus on than on a weird stream. And you know what's the worst part is that stream that is giving me so much trouble is a stream where nothing really happens. It's basically a stream where I fight Mega Man the whole time and I don't even win on that stream. So it's kind of like, it's a pointless stream, but I wanna have it. Oh, that's gonna... Ooh, nice. Nice. So, can we please not die on our way to the second phase? Or is that too much to ask? No, I think I can. As long as nothing kills me in the way. Wait, no what? What? Was I supposed to do something there? Cause I'm pretty sure I was, but I didn't see anything. Maybe I was supposed to jump or some shit. Damn it, I guess we're not getting the second phase that easily, huh? No, something that I also remember. I wanted to title the stream I wanna beat the Soul Green, right? Problem is, Soul Green is, you know, the name of the developer. And I really don't wanna beat the developer, right? I just wanna beat the boss. But yeah, didn't want to sound too aggressive, so I just went with final boss instead. So there are no doubts. Too slow, I think. Damn, my fingers. I think I need to wear gloves, but I think that's just gonna help with the cold. It's definitely not gonna help with the boss. At least I can semi-consistently do that. That's already pretty good. Okay, I shouldn't even shoot there, it doesn't even do shit. Hey AC Borsha, how is it going? You know, I'm right here. And I'm probably gonna be here for a long time. So yeah, nothing really new. Other than some ass beating. Didn't try out Mario yet. Yeah. I mean, whenever you try it out, make sure that you are mentally prepared. Because that shit is gonna be mentally draining. Like, it's gonna be a pain in the ass. The start of the fight was annoying. So you did try Mario. Did 3 tries. The start of the fight is basically, you know, trying to... I mean, Mario's always trying to hit you, but he has acceleration, so you can make him go really far if you don't want him to get close. Although in that phase, or yeah, I should say in that attack, what you're supposed to do is farm the most amount of damage that you can, since it's gonna be pretty helpful for later. Damn it. Soul Green. I feel like it should have, instead of well, I mean, I guess Soul Green is in this case pretty iconic since it's also the name of the developer, but I guess the salt shaker would have been a little bit better. You know, the one that has that girl wearing an umbrella and, you know, having that salt shaker in her arm with salt dropping from it. Are you serious? That killed me. I also really like the sound effect for when he throws these little things. It sounds good. Also, something that I should mention is that I don't know how to get to the second phase, because apparently climbing those things is not enough for some reason. Like, if you climb those things, you just end up dying. So I'm assuming that I need to do something else, but I haven't seen anything else on the screen. So maybe I'm just supposed to jump and randomly wait for something to happen. I don't know. Nice. Oh, nice. So I'm jumping pretty short there, because, you know, seems that those bullets, like the whole hitbox, is not just the shiny part, it's also those kind of remnants that are trailing from behind. So the hitbox is actually kind of like pill shaped, right? So it's a lot bigger than it looks, or than it feels. The flashes hurt my eyes, yeah. Pressing the right button for too long isn't a big deal here. Oh, that's a bad position, I fucked up. I was supposed to go left. Yeah, it seems, you know, the problem with pressing the right button for a long time here in that attack is that you eventually run out of platform to do that. Like, eventually you will end up being right next to the boss, and, you know, you just dive for that. And, you know, it's that phase that you just want to finish the boss as soon as you can. So going back will be counterproductive kinda, cause it will mean no damage since you are not facing the boss. Nice. It's a lot harder than it seems. It really looks like an easy pattern, but maybe I can actually do it while standing still instead of trying to move, but it will probably be even harder. Then again, it's not a hard pattern, it's just that you don't have to screw up. I mean, that RNG pattern from before it is way harder than that one. Harder because you can get into a position where dodging the bullets becomes insanely hard. Fuck. Also, again, you have no idea how cold my fingers are. Like, my fingers are so cold that I'm kinda jealous that the background has so much fire in it. Nice. Well, that was surprisingly clean. You piece of shit. Yeah, that RNG part is, well, RNG. If you get lucky, that's great. If you don't, it's not great. But you know, that's totally fine. At least I'm happy that I can do the supersonic bar semi-consistently. This one is obviously just getting lucky, but at least I'm happy that the parts that are static or, you know, aim, that basically don't depend on luck but on what you do, I can almost consistently beat them, and that's pretty good. That's why I say almost, right? It's not still there, but yeah. RNG, random number generator. Yep, that's what that is, and that's how it fails. But then again, it could be worse. Imagine if that attack was PDH, right? No, that wouldn't be that good, right? You probably wouldn't like to see that sort of thing. Oh, that actually hit me. Holy shit, okay. The good thing is that we're gonna be hearing It's Boshy time for a pretty long time. So you know, you're never gonna run out of It's Boshy time. You're also gonna be hearing Oh Man a lot. Oh, and also that, yeah, lol, you die. That's also something that you're gonna be hearing a lot. Nice. I think that's the first time that the actual boss kills me in that pattern instead of the bullet. Pretty cool. Also, something that I don't quite understand, right? This is supposed to be like an oatmeal bots, right? But that shit that he throws right there looks like peanuts. Am I not understanding something? Or is the sprite for the oatmeal just bad? Or am I just bad recognizing things? It's probably the later one, right? So I guess I'm struggling against that pattern now. Well, at least I'm happy I'm struggling the pattern that is RNG and not the ones that 100% depend on me. Damn it. Really tired, gonna sleep. See ya. Alright. See ya, easy Boshy. Thanks for hanging out. Hope you have a good night. I know I won't with this boss, but at least I hope you do. Yeah, I'm supposed to go more to the left than I'm actually going there. Not exactly sure. Damn, that's a lot of walking to the right. No, I think I'm supposed to jump before. I tried to delay my jump, but no, it seems that I have to jump when I jumped before. Well, I guess I'm gonna struggle on that one right now. Guess the struggle changes from pattern to pattern. Although it will be more natural if the struggle like went from an earlier pattern to a later pattern, right? But it seems that we're going from later to earlier. That's fine. I just want to get to the second phase, that's it. Well, I mean, obviously I want to defeat the boss, but at least I want to see how the fuck the second phase looks. And I still haven't been able to. Even after I beat like the first phase, what, 4 or 5 times? Okay, that works. That doesn't though. I know it looks stupid, right? The fact that I died to that. But I gotta tell you that those bullets are pretty hard to dodge when there is that screen shake. Because you have to consider that unlike these bullets that are actually static, the ones on that pattern are RNG, so... Well, not the bullets, but like the place where the boss spawns, right? So it's pretty hard to react to that while the screen is shaking, and sometimes while the boss is really close to you. So even if it looks like it should be easy to do, it's not that easy. Still wouldn't call it a hard pattern, right? But I can tell you that it's not an easy pattern either, just because of the random factor. Nice. Okay, so here I defeated the first phase. But the problem is, where do I go from here? I don't understand. So like, I go here, right? I climb all this shit. It's pretty cool. But, oh, okay, that's the thing. So I'm actually supposed to go all the way up. Okay, let me see this at least. Although this is probably gonna be inaccurate because these are probably aimed. If these are aimed, that's gonna be quite a pain in the ass. Ooh, trippy shit. Okay, I like how that looks. Although it's pretty hard. Okay, so that's the pattern. Or at least that pattern. I don't know if this is all there is in the second phase, maybe. But even if it's all there is on the second phase, it's pretty hard from what I'm seeing. At least there are 2 attacks. Obviously the second phase is not the last phase, by the way. So I'm only happy because at least it's not 1,000 attacks like here. So I don't have to learn that much, but it will probably still be hard to just beat. But I guess I can just concentrate in 2 attacks, so I don't have to memorize too much. Because, you know, memorizing, obviously, you know, it's what you need to do to play Danmaku games like Touhou, so I undoubtedly have to do it a lot. But I don't really like memorizing that much, because at some point it's like your brain really can't handle that much memorization at the same time, right? So if you have to memorize a lot of shit, sometimes you forget and you just get killed by stuff just because you didn't remember it was there. So the less memorization there is, the better to me. Also, if he manages to spawn too much to the edges of the screen, the bullet disappears. Nice. So okay, what I'm supposed to do here is climb all the way up, but like, yeah, that pretty much, climbing all the way up. Oh, like that. Okay, please. Okay, I didn't see that. I didn't see that on the previous run. So maybe the patterns that he do while you're dead might hide some other patterns. Or maybe that's just because it was the first attack and I didn't see it before. I don't know. That's fine. I can deal with that. Fucker. Supersonic, you piece of shit. I remember killing you. I remember you exploding like an asshole. But yet you're here, unless you're getting resurrected by this oatmeal. I didn't know that oatmeal actually resurrected people. Maybe I will need to buy some oatmeal after all. I don't think this particular brand is available in my country though. It will be pretty fun to see if there is oatmeal of this brand. Although normally the oatmeal that you find here is from Quaker. Oh, that's gonna... Wow, that's really bad RNG. 2 in a row, by the way. I guess I could try using gloves, at least for a couple of runs, and if I do really bad, which is probably gonna be the case, maybe I should take them off. Guess I know that it sounds like an exaggeration, right? But my fingers are really cold, like really cold. There is like, it is like 2 degrees Celsius around here, or something like that, so it's really cold. Hey Riemann, how is it going? Yeah, it's Boshy time and it's Salt time. Both of them. In that order. But at least I've been able to see what the second phase looks like. And I can tell you that even if it looks, you know, kinda unoffensive, I can tell you that it's definitely gonna be hard. Wow, nice spawn. Nice spawn right next to me. Good shit. They also play some Disappearing of Gensokyo. Nice. I don't know what that is, but sounds nice. Mr. Aldo here is saying, let's go, Gobo, take a bowl of salt green with milk to give me energy. Yeah, I'm not gonna do that. But it might be a good idea to do it some other day. Because drinking milk right now is kinda like a bad idea. It's really cold. Well, unless it's like warm milk, but it's really cold. Like, to the point where my fingers might start hurting just because of the cold. Though so far, it could be worse. So I guess, you know, it's not that bad, but nice. Toho fun game. Yeah, I know it's a Toho fun game. Although I don't know how it is. Okay. So we arrive at the boss and we get killed. Although honestly what you're supposed to do in that pattern is go to the top and drop yourself to the bottom so the laser can't track you down. The problem is that you have to go to the top while you're getting, you know, that screen shake that barely lets you see where the hell you are. And after that laser, the patterns that apparently come afterwards, according to the death screen, are kinda wild. There are only 2 of them, which is the good part, but they definitely look hard to dodge. Nice. Yeah, you know what the fucked up part about that attack is? Is that the boss actually has a hitbox to kill you, but it doesn't have a hitbox for you to kill him. So basically you're fighting against a ghost that can actually touch you. Shit's terrifying. At least it seems that the first phase so far is not really that big of a deal, which is honestly a pretty good thing. Okay, you're supposed to do that for that phase. Oh, he also shoots. So it's not only those green balls, the one that are after you, he also shoots his own bullets. I knew I shouldn't trust the dead screen for this sort of shit. The dead screen usually is kind of deceiving, because since, you know, the player is no longer there, a lot of the patterns just freak out and don't activate, or activate in a weird way. I mean, technically the player is still there, it's just in a dead state, I guess you could call it. Should have shown double shunt before. That's fine. At least you know what's the good thing about this. I mean, sure, there is that Cheetah Man secret boss, right? But it's pretty much the last thing in the game, so as hard as it is, at least you know that after this there's nothing else. And obviously that secret fight is optional. I'm gonna do it though, but it's kind of like the game is basically telling you, yes, this is the hardest that it's gonna get, and after this, it's done. Good job. Damn, you're firing a lot of bullets. Okay, maybe I need to jump and then go down on that one. Okay. It's gonna be a pretty slow learning process. Because every time there is a new pattern, there's gonna be like 100 of attempts just to understand that pattern. And after that, once I understand the pattern, it's off to learning the next pattern. The problem is that even if I learn one pattern, it doesn't mean that I will consistently get it. So yeah. It's just a little warning for those who expect me to defeat this asshole quickly. It's definitely not gonna be the case, but I'll try my best. So something like that. So the problem is right here, right? So you have all this aim shit. Oh, you also have aim shit from him. And I fucked up. I wonder, does he have health there? He should, right? I mean, I don't see any health points, but I'm pretty sure he has health there. Cause otherwise, I don't think there will be like, I don't think the dead screen will repeat the attack. But then again, I should stop trusting the dead screen. It's not a reliable source. I feel like I'm gonna do what I did for the first phase, which is basically trying the phase without dealing damage. And then once I kinda figure out the patterns, I want to start knowing how to damage them. But for now, just focus on dodging. Piece of shit. Really? Alright. I also don't think that using someone like Sagat is gonna be useful here, because the amount of practice that I will need to do just to get used to that funky hitbox is gonna be a nightmare. Damn it. Wow. That was probably a little bit late. Nice. So basically, I should not focus on damage now, and should just focus on dodging. Although it's still hard to do, let me tell you that. Well, not like it's hard to focus on dodging, it's just hard to dodge. Nice. I can tell you how to do it. No, that's fine. I mean, so far I just want to focus on dodging. I fucked up. I should have jumped before that. Damn it. Although really the way to do it there is just redirecting the bullets. It doesn't, I mean, it looks hard, but I think I understand how to do it. Unless you're telling me you have some secret, super secret tech that, you know, I will never be able to figure out. Nope, intended way. Well, I guess the intended way is not that hard to figure out. I mean, you're just supposed to redirect the bullets aiming at you, and that's it. It's just that it's hard to do so, but I don't feel like it's hard to figure out. I mean, I already did it once, it's just that I died at the next pattern. Then my throat. Yeah, when I tell you that it's cold, I really mean that it's cold. It's not just an exaggeration. I mean, I know that there's a lot of places that are way colder than this, but yeah. Damn it. The real problem, obviously, with just about any long fight is that, you know, there's a lot of shit that you have to do before you can even get to the easy part. Sorry, to the important part, not the easy part. So basically a lot of times you're just retrying stuff that you already know how to do instead of practicing the stuff that you don't know how to do. Which is a little bit of a problem, but yeah. Okay. You also have to remember to move a little bit to the left there to not get killed by the boss. Again with the same. It's pretty funny sometimes when I die one way. On the next run I die the same way. Instead of, you know, dying any other way. Feels like my thick skull can't comprehend that I shouldn't repeat the same death. That's fine. Oh, I moved a lot to the right there. Nice. Okay. So let's see now. I also wonder how many faces the boss has. Something's gonna tell me that it's gonna be a lot more than I wish they were, but... Damn, the laser hitbox was still active there. Holy shit. Okay. That's why I died. I didn't die to nothing. I died to the laser that was still active. Damn it. Yeah, it's indeed Boshy time. With that sort of shit, you can really tell that it's Boshy time. Fuck. I was pretty unlucky. It's also a really bit of a shame that the second to last attack on the first phase is the one that is RNG, as opposed to like the first. So even if you get a really good run on the rest of the first phase, if you get unlucky, you have to start all over again. Damn it. I don't know why it was at the middle there. It was supposed to be at the left, but that's fine. Well, that was pretty nice RNG. Nice. Damn it. Okay. Gotta be more mindful of the way I approach that. It's still pretty hard though. I don't think staying at the bottom is gonna be a good idea for that one. Fuck, too high. It's really gonna be an issue for anyone that is pretty sensible to flashing lights, because this boss basically always starts with that flashing light. So yeah, hope you're not. Well, I mean, we already thought that if you were epileptic, playing or watching this game is a pretty bad idea. But if you're just sensible to flashing lights, then yeah, this boss might be a bad idea. Because every time it starts, you're gonna be seeing that. Wow, I really did a double jump there. Sometimes I do a double jump because when I spam the shot button, it feels pretty easy to touch the shum butter again. Nice. Oh, I fucked up. That's fine. No, that's not fine. Damn it. Yeah, that part is gonna be hard, but I feel like the hardest part is actually getting there and trying to practice it more than anything. Rather than actually beating it. Because it's obvious that that's not the only thing there is in there, so... yeah. Damn it. If I just jump once, it will be enough, and I go under Sonic. I don't think that's gonna work though. Probably not. Damn, too slow. Now Sonic can actually say you're too slow and he will be right. Fuck. And then you have to get lucky right afterwards. That really hurts. And you know what's the most fucked up thing? It's already been 1 hour since I started the stream. And even if there was some kind of progress, the progress that I got was minimal. Like, I barely even got any progress. Holy shit, this is gonna be a pain in the ass. Damn it. It's like, I don't know why, every time I die on one pattern, I just do it worse the next time. Until I eventually, you know, figure it out. But also, if you really hate someone, it's a pretty nice strat to make them play this until they beat it. At least you will have them occupied for a pretty long time. Unless they are professional I wanna be the guy fun game players, in which case they probably wouldn't have too much of an issue beating this, but you know. Why am I shooting? Stop shooting. Nice. Also, I wonder why the second counter doesn't reset or something. Like, it seems like it counts everything since the final hull for no reason, or no apparent reason. Fuck. I'm also pretty curious about what you wanted to tell me, Riemann, about that attack. Like, I'm pretty sure you're just supposed to just dodge it and that's it. Like, I don't think there is any way to actually make it easier than getting good. Do you actually have any other way? There is a gimmick? Is there? Because it just feels to me like I have to dodge those balls. But you know, if you wanna share it, go ahead. I mean, at this point, I understand that every bit of help will be appreciated. Because, you know, every time I get there, I mean, it's already hard to get there, so there's not gonna be much chances to even practice the pattern in the first place, so feels like the best way is to at least go prepare and know what to do, or at least know what to expect. You need to misdirect balls to him. Oh, so you need to damage him. So that's the trick. That's the reason why I couldn't damage him. No, that's just evil. So if that part was already hard, just by dodging the stuff that he throws at you, it just got harder by the fact that I have to actually aim at him. Wow. I mean, I'm not surprised, but that's gonna be really hard to do. Like, holy shit, that's gonna be hard to do. It also really depends on how Sonic ends up on that pattern. To like dodge him by jumping or dodge him by going under him. I think it's better to dodge him by double jumping. Wow, that was pretty fair. Okay. Oh, fuck. That RNG part is gonna be a problem. It's definitely gonna be a problem. Damn, redirect the balls to him. That's crazy. And now does this shit, which is also pretty crazy. Wait, actually, it feels like I can actually jump the platforms without needing to go to the borders, right? Is that right? Because if that's right, then that might be a lot easier than I expected. Okay, I'm gonna try that. Borders, why? No, I mean that I can jump on the platform kinda like Super Smash Bros. Style, where the platforms basically you can jump from below. You can jump from below and be able to get on top still. Like you don't need to go to the sides to get on top, and that seems to be the case there, which is pretty convenient if that was the case. So I'm gonna see if that's the case the next time. Although obviously in order to actually see if that's the case or not, I have to actually survive all this shit. Yeah, that's already a little bit hard. Just a little bit hard. Why do you have to spawn there, you piece of shit? Okay. No. Okay, nice. The RNG is pretty much. So basically here. Yeah, I can actually go up the platforms without needing to go to the sides. No, if only I hadn't died to the actual... Fuck. Yeah, I understand now. So that makes that part a lot easier than I thought. It's still gonna be hard though, but it's gonna be a little bit easier knowing that. I'm surprised by the fact that there is no Toho with probability manipulations. Probability manipulations? What do you mean? So I'm not that big of a math guy, right? I mean, I like maths, but when it comes to knowledge, I definitely don't have much knowledge about mathematics. Although you probably mean that ability to change probabilities. Oh. Well, I don't know how that will apply to Gensokyo's setting. Cause like you can probably change the probability of if there's going to rain or something. But then again, I'm pretty sure that character already exists and it's called Sagume. I think that her power is pretty much change probabilities according to what she says. When I say according to what she says, I mean changing the probability of events according to what she's saying at the moment. I think that's maybe a more accurate representation of that power. Since she basically can just forcibly change things, it can kinda make them change with like a probability. So I will say that Sagume's power might be pretty close to that. Although I wouldn't really call it manipulation, but yeah. It's close enough, I guess you could say. Damn, that... Is Sagume's ability change probabilities or reality itself? I guess it's more that it changes the probability of reality changing, I guess. Because what she's like, the opposite of what she says isn't always gonna become real. It just has a higher chance to become real because basically it's kinda like the world is against her. But it doesn't mean that it will 100% happen. So in that sense it might be kinda like that. I don't know. Nice, okay. Amanoshaku shenanigans. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, honestly, powers in Touhou are a complete disaster. They barely make sense and they are explained in a way that makes even less sense. So I wouldn't really try to, you know, use too much logic to explain them. Because it's probably gonna be a waste of time. Like, for example, the apparent power of Flandre to destroy everything. I mean... I don't think you really can destroy just everything, right? Because if that was the case, I'm pretty sure she will really be like terrorizing everyone. Like, let's not forget she's mentally unstable, right? So if there is a door right in front of her, right where she's locked in the basement, I'm pretty sure that if she wanted to get out, she will just destroy the door and everything, you know, protecting it, right? So I'm pretty sure she's just really strong and that's it. Destroying everything doesn't really make much sense. I mean, obviously destroying a meteor is a pretty impressive fact, which is what she did. That's, you know, the reason why Akiu's writing says that she's really powerful, because she basically just made a hand movement and a meteor got destroyed. I don't think she can literally destroy everything, because that wouldn't make sense. Especially, like, it would make sense for someone to have that ability and being a little bit mentally stable, right? But for someone as her that isn't really that mentally stable, I don't think she... I mean, at this point I think she will have destroyed Gensokyo by now. Right? There's no reason she wouldn't. I mean, if she's really that mentally unstable, I'm pretty sure she wouldn't hesitate. Lance ability also has Hitbot's manipulation part. Her ability looks like Killer Queen a bit. Well, in that case it kinda makes sense, but I still... I guess if you put it like that, it makes kinda sense, but then again, comparing it to Shoujo powers is not that good of an idea, because Shoujo powers also don't make any sense a lot of time. I mean, let's not even get started on Bites the Dust, right? What Bites the Dust is supposed to do and how convoluted it is. But yeah, I guess if she really could destroy everything, she will probably already destroy Gensokyo. I'm pretty sure that she can't, because, you know, maybe someone like Patchouli or someone in the mansion casts magic for her to not be able to you know, get out of her room. And if she can destroy that magic, then she basically can destroy everything, right? And I don't really think that the only thing, you know, keeping her from destroying everything is her own self-control, because I'm pretty sure she doesn't have self-control. So what I'm trying to say is that I'm pretty sure her ability of destroying everything is not really accurate. I mean, it just looks cool to say, like, yeah, this character literally can destroy everything. Yeah, it looks cool, it sounds cool, and it probably feels cool too. But yeah, I don't think that's the case. Like, if a lot of the powers from Touhou characters were literal, then there is no reason why they will struggle in the first place. Maybe she also doesn't understand how her ability works. That can be true also. But then again, we also have to remember that she's a vampire. And vampires are known for being incredibly strong, but there is nothing about them that says destroy everything. They are just incredibly powerful, and some of them are even immortal. But to say that they can destroy everything, I think it might be a little bit of a stretch. There is probability manipulations from the ability to control fate. That's also another power that is pretty similar to Sagume. because it's not 100% accurate in the sense that it's not like she literally can say what's gonna happen and it will happen, but she probably have some probability manipulation on what will happen. Same with Sagume. I feel like, I mean, that ability with Remy and Sagume is basically the same, just on the opposite side. Basically, Remy can, you know, manipulate fate to a point where it can make things have a higher chance of happening, and Sagume can think the opposite of something to make things have a higher probability of happening. So it's kind of like the same shit, just the polar opposite. Although there's also the fact that a lot of people say that Remilia could be saying that just to show off. Like, for example, let's say that you read a newspaper that says that it's gonna rain, and then you say, okay, today it's gonna rain, and it actually rains, right? And you will claim, hey, I have the ability to control the weather, when in reality it's just that you knew it will happen and it happened. In Remilia's case, it could be the same stuff, because as far as I know, that ability to control fate is only stated by her. It's not really shown. So it might be that it's just her trying to show off and say something cool. Let's not forget that no matter how old Remilia is, she's incredibly childish. So she's the kind of character that will be able to say something like that. No. Nice. But yeah, then again, we are talking about Touhou powers here. They don't really make much sense from the very beginning, so yeah. Also, I wonder where this whole soprano is from. If it's from a game or if it's an actual opera or some shit like that. Ah, damn it. I have to fall to the third one there. It's still pretty hard to do. You don't have much room to do it. Oh, I completely got mind blocked there. A list of abilities and that will compare to Medaka bots or to our stuff. Yeah, but you're comparing Touhou to your typical anime nonsense. I mean, anime is pretty nonsensical to begin with. So, a lot of people in anime say, oh, I have the ability to control my left nut so I cannot at the same time. Okay, maybe that's going too far, but you know, in anime a lot of people say that they have the strongest abilities, and it's just because, you know, at some point it's like mangakas run out of stuff to do, so they just wanna do the stupidest shit ever. I mean, let's be honest, there's only so many ways that you can innovate a shonen anime, right? And a lot of the people that write shonen anime, the way they innovate is by giving the characters powers that are so ridiculous that they barely make sense. So yeah, what I'm trying to say is that in anime it is expected characters from having those nonsensical powers, just because, you know, that is basically what passes down as creativity. But Toho, well, I mean, Toho got a lot of influences from animes, and, well, I will say manga and anime. So yeah, it's also expected to have pretty ridiculous powers. Medakabots is maximum weird. I mean, it's no wonder why One Punch Man exists, right? I mean, it just goes to show you how ridiculous a lot of shonen are. I mean, One Man Punch is a parody of that. Because there is so much cliché that basically is, you know, dressed down as creativity, when in reality it's just the same shit with different names. Then yeah, it makes sense that there's gonna be all this crazy shit. Medaka bots also parody a bit. I see. Hey, Shishi Prog, who's it going? Yeah, the grind is going kinda neat, I think. I mean, honestly, since I am on the final boss, it's kinda like I expect to get fucked over and over again, so I just kinda roll with it. So this might take like 5 streams or something, but I'm at least relieved that this is the final boss, so yeah. It might take 5 streams, but after that, I can say that I beat the game. Oh, fucker. Piece of shit. But yeah. It's, you know, pretty interesting how the final boss is a box of oatmeal. Pretty interesting. Have you got his HP down to 0? Yeah, I already got to the second phase. Now my next objective is the second phase. Obviously, the problem with that is that I have to beat the first phase every time to practice the second one. But that's fine, I mean. I knew that this was gonna happen. I knew that this was gonna be a pain in the ass, so it doesn't surprise me. At this point I'm just, you know, rolling with it. Which is something that I really can't say about things like the Mega Man fight. I never expect the Mega Man fight to be that hard. How many times have you got there? 10? Maybe? I think I got him 10 times to the second phase. So obviously I have a lot to get better at the first phase to be able to practice getting there. So yeah. The main thing is gonna be being able to almost perfectly do the first phase, which is something that so far I haven't really done. I still struggle in a lot of the patterns there. But yeah, it's just a matter of playing it enough. And eventually, I'm sure it will work. But yeah, I realized that this will take a long ass time. Nice. Now that you're on the final boss, have you thought about what will the next game be? No, I haven't thought about that, because I'm pretty sure that even if I am on the final boss, this is gonna take probably close to a week worth of streaming. So honestly, I think I have time to think about my next game. Okay, so it's instantly double jumping there and then instantly double jumping upwards. Okay, I get it. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I know that people usually, you know, especially Thundit has a lot of recommendations. Basically, what my preferred things are is platforming and avoidance. Those are the two things that I really like. As a matter of fact, I would really like to have a game with no shooting at all. That would be pretty neat. I really like passive platformers, because I can just basically focus on moving and not, you know, shooting. So there's been some recommendations, but yeah, I'm still pretty far from beating the game. Even if this is the final boss, it's still gonna be a long time until I can actually play another game. Let's not forget that even if I do beat the final boss, I still need to beat the Cheetah Man, which apparently is even it's even harder than the final boss. So there's that. I'm pretty sure that's probably gonna take another week. I didn't expect to be that one. No, another new game does not have bosses, just platforming and 3 endings. I'm not really in... I mean, everything was going great until I read 3 endings. I don't really like games with multiple endings. But I guess it's not gonna be that big of a deal. I mean, as long as it doesn't have endings that makes you feel like you beat the game for nothing, I think I'll be fine. But yeah. Oh. Damn, I almost got scared that OBS was the one disconnecting, but it was just Windows Defender telling me that there are no threats on my computer. Thanks Windows Defender, but nobody asked you. I already know that my computer is free of threats. You shit. I'm just kidding, you're doing a great show, Windows Defender. If it wasn't for you, I will probably need to buy an antivirus, and that's something that I definitely won't do. But when you get one ending, you can still get the other ones. Oh, I see. Seems like Lennon has 25 endings. What? Wow. 25 endings. Well, I guess it's just because of different characters and that shit, right? Wow. Also, let's not forget, in 4Game there is 5 teams. Oh, well, that explains it. 5 endings for each team. Yeah, let's not forget that Touhou 13 has basically 12 endings. Because each character has 3, so technically there is 12 endings. The after ending make me no miss no bomb. Oh, normal no bomb. Well, honestly, it's easier than you think. I mean, after all, it's not like you can use any bombs. You just need to get to like the final pattern with 1 life, right? You only need 1 life to get to the final pattern and then die at the very end. So you get 3 bombs. Actually, no. You need to at least have 1 bomb on this. Wait, no. I'm saying stupid shit. In that game you actually have 2 bombs when you die. Okay, well, never mind. It might be a little bit hard, but you know, the game itself has easy patterns, so yeah. Honestly, it is no miss, no bomb till Nico, yeah, pretty much. So you got to second phase in less than 24 hours? Yeah, I mean, I got to second phase in less than 2 hours. I got it yesterday. I started this fight yesterday, and I'm pretty sure that I played the fight for about 2 hours and like, actually no. Well, technically it depends on what you count as getting to the second phase. Cause yesterday I beat the first phase 3 times, but I died every time after I even got to the second phase. So I don't know if that counts. So let's just say that maybe I got it in less than 3 hours. I think that will be. They're pretty good at analyzing patterns. Well, to be fair, there's also a guy in chat normally that is pretty good at telling me what to do, so Mr. Thundit. He usually tells me some strats that are really useful. So honestly, if it wasn't for him, I don't know if I will still, like, if I will be in the final boss. I will probably still be struggling against, I don't know, Mega Man or someone. So yeah, I don't think I'm good at analyzing power. I'm just, you know, good at listening, I guess. You could say. Or in this case, reading. Because I'm reading chat. But yeah. Well, there's also the fact that this first phase has a lot of Danmaku in it. Most of which is also, you know, static. And even if it's not that big of a deal, being a Touhou player kinda helps for this kind of shit. Still executing quite well, thanks. Yeah, I guess Touhou is the big helper here. Having a Touhou background really helps with at least the Danmaku attacks. Ah, fuck. It's pretty, well, I wouldn't say pretty hard, but it's kinda difficult to see exactly which is the bomb that is gonna come at you. Because at some point there are like 2, sorry, not the bombs, the balls that come at you. Because at some point there is like 2 bombs that are pretty bright, but one of them is brighter. But it's pretty hard to tell them apart, so sometimes you think that it's gonna be one of them that's gonna come at you, but in reality it's just another one. May you will do well in Camellia 3-1 if you played. Well, honestly, I will wait until I can actually beat the boss to say that. Cause maybe I did really well on phase 1, but it all depends how I do on the rest of the fight. I might do still like well, but let's not forget that Mega Man took me 7 hours and a half. So if a boss like Mega Man took me 7 hours and a half, I'm expecting this boss to take even more than that. So yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna be ready for Chameleon. you're gonna feel pretty at home with the first boss of Camellia 3. I've been told that one of the bosses in Camellia is actually this one. I don't know if it's Camellia 2 or 3 though, but one of those. Fuck. In Camellia 1 and 2 they're soul green, I see. Well then I guess that Camellia 3 has Mega Man as a boss. I mean 3 is just a Camille, I see. Ouch. Although honestly that Mega Man fight was such a pain in the ass, especially because of Ringman. Ringman in that fight just was a complete douche. He just kept flying around like an asshole, and there were rings flying around and shit. It was pretty hard. And what was the worst part is that a lot of the streams where I was fighting Mega Man, I had a lot of internet problems, right? So basically the salt was doubled. Like I was salty because of the boss, but I was also salty because of my connection. So it's kind of like a pretty, you know, a cholesterol overdose. Yeah, pretty much salt everywhere. Mega Man system interfering with your stream? Yeah, pretty much. It was that damn Sigma virus. The Sigma virus was trying to take me down. But jokes on them, Sigma wasn't even in the first Mega Man saga, so it couldn't do shit in the end. I guess they should have used the Wily virus. Actually, I'm surprised that Wily hasn't appeared in this game. Well, it appeared in I Wanna Be the Guy, so there's that. Honestly, Wily is a pretty cool looking villain. It's a shame that he doesn't have too much dialogue. Because he's pretty much like Eggman, except that he's actually kinda good looking. Mega Man is just one of those dumbasses that just happens to apparently be pretty smart for machines, that is. Fucker. That RNG, yeah. That's pretty much the most dangerous part on that section. Because obviously it doesn't depend on you, it depends on whatever my processor wants. Yeah. Salt overdose, huh? Oh. I'm at a pretty big disadvantage. Okay. But yeah, this is basically the problem with this kind of fights, right? The fact that if you want to practice one part, you have to go through a completely unrelated part just to get there. And it's pretty hard to do so. Wait, what? I got confused there. I started shooting because I forgot Sonic was there. Damn it. But yeah, I actually wonder how long this is gonna take me. Probably a lot. Fucker. Also, I wonder if this fight is gonna turn me into an epileptic. Because those flashes at the beginning of the fight can be really healthy. If I gotta be completely honest. Also about this Sonic part, right? This Sonic part will probably be extremely hard to figure out on my own, but it was, you know, actually Thundit the one that told me what to do there. So yeah. That's probably what a lot of people will struggle a lot with, like trying to figure out how to beat Sonic there, but imagine this with Seisha flips. No, I really don't want to imagine this with Seisha flips. That will be a nightmare. I mean, pretty much at that point, might as well be having a nightmare. It will maybe be more satisfying than trying to imagine this. Hey, can you... There we go, nice. Okay, so here, please remember that, there we go. Oh, I just have to drop straight to the third place there. Okay, so I can't just go to the second one, I have to go straight to the third one. Okay, gotcha. Gotcha. But see, this is like the fucked up thing. Every single bit of that pattern, I have to learn it through basically replaying this shit a lot of times until I eventually get there. Yeah, it is progress, but what I'm trying to say is that it's pretty fucked up how progress works here. Because it's pretty much every single bit of progress is basically behind a complete run, right? Like you have to do the first phase and then get to that point on the second phase to be able to practice it again. So yeah. And obviously the worst part is knowing that the boss is still pretty far from over after that. That's the most terrifying part. But yeah, at least it's progress. It's at least something. Damn it. I really wonder though how the Cheetahman compared to this. Cause I played a little bit of the Cheetahman and I got so fucked that I was just like, okay, maybe it's a better idea to try this later. And that's what I did. So I never really saw what they have to offer. I hope it's not that much harder than this. At least Thundit told me that if I unlock Sonic... Oh fuck. The Cheetahman fight is easier, right? With Sonic, apparently. If I get used to the movement, that is. I find it harder. Yeah, it's probably gonna be harder than this boss for sure. So I guess it's kind of like an extra boss, right? It's kind of like when you beat a Toho game, but you have to still beat the extra stage, which is not required, but it's there. So yeah. Imagine the Sonic boss times 10. Damn. Well, honestly, the Sonic boss, I mean, it was hard. I'm not gonna deny it was hard, but I found it enjoyable at least, which is something that sadly I haven't found with the Mario and the Mega Man fight. But I can definitely say that the Sonic fight, at the very least, it was really hard, but I find it enjoyable, mostly because with those kind of fights, right? With Sonic fight, I really feel like I'm fighting Sonic, right? With the Mario and Mega Man fight, the least thing that I thought about is that I was actually fighting them. Small Sonics flying around the screen at the same time, aiming at you, going off screen. Damn. That seems a little bit evil. Oh, fuck. They actually beasts, but kind of behave like Sonic. Beasts? Oh! Okay. So it's basically a Dodonpachi base boss with Cheetah there. I don't know if you got there. No, I just got to the... Well, actually, I really just got to the first attack when there is that dumbass Cheetah Man spamming the tornadoes. That's as far as I got. And when Thundit said that it was an optional boss and I could, you know, keep going, I just decided to keep going instead of trying to beat it. I feel like that was the best decision I could have done. Dude, the hitbox of those bullets is so fucked up. I mean, the problem is that the hitbox is basically the entirety of the sprites, including the parts of the sprites that are barely really drawn out. So when you're used to things like Toho, where a lot of the sprites are just like the main part of the bullet, it's pretty hard to see this kind of bullets and be like the hitbox is the whole sprite. But yeah, I guess it's just a matter of getting used to it. Nice. Right in the center. Right in the center, just to make sure you don't dodge it. Right there. Just to make sure, right? Seems that Solgreen isn't taking second chances here. Oh, fucker. I thought it was over. Nice. Well, at least he didn't shoot me there, so that's cool, I guess. Oh, I didn't expect that to be the one. Okay. Wow. I even dodged 2 of the bullets, but it obviously wasn't enough. When he gets at the center like that, dodging the bullets is a complete pain in the ass. I can imagine how salty speedrunners will be when they get here and suddenly this shithead tries to go to the center. Although I think that at this point, dying to this asshole wouldn't really be considered a ruin run, right? Since it's pretty much the end of the game. Yeah, RNG. Damn it. I double jumped too late. Like, the thing about that pit right there is that it's not like you can fall a little bit, right? Like if you touch the border of the screen right there, you die. It's not like you can fall a little bit like in most games. You touch the border and you die. Which sometimes is pretty hard to get used to that. Oh, come on. What an asshole. Yeah, oops. I wonder how many runs were ruined by this boss. Probably a lot, right? A lot of speedruns that got just ruined by this boss. Well, not just by this boss, but like by this pattern in particular. Although I guess at that point, speedrunners will be pretty ready to whatever bullshit this might pull. First phase is pretty much skip all in speedrun, second phase is hard to do fast. I see. Yeah, it seems like the first phase is pretty easy to speed kill. Right? Whew. Especially if you... third phase has RNG. So, something that I wonder is, do people use Sagat for this fight, or is that a completely bad idea? Because it seems that Sagat is pretty good here to actually speed kill the first phase, since he can pretty much hit the boss at all times on the first attacks. Can kill him before the heal. Yeah, I know that, but I wonder if people use Sagat for that. Don't know if Sagat is necessary. Obviously, the problem with Sagat is that you basically have to do the whole fight with a pretty fucked up sprite. So I don't know if that's preferable. The other phases are gonna be harder with Sagat. Yeah, pretty much. Damn it. Oh, he's... Okay, I didn't expect him to be large enough there to hit me there. Oh, you piece of shit. It was too late to move to the right there. I should have probably tried to dodge it from the left, but that would have been even harder probably. Keep it cool. Also, somehow it feels like today is Friday, even though right now, at least obviously in my country, it is still Thursday. So that means that tomorrow I still need to go to work, which sucks. You know, that's just me rambling about something entirely random and unrelated to the fight. Okay, oh, okay, I got lucky there. Damn it. Why can every day be Friday? Well, actually that would probably defeat the purpose of a Friday, but... like every day of the week be Friday, right? So you only work one day a week. Can you imagine that? Only need to work one day a week. Wow, that was completely lucky on my side. Unexpected, to say the least. Yeah, I know, I will actually have 4 days after Friday. Because basically, Monday and Tuesday of the next week are gonna be holidays. Because basically our independence is on 9th of July. So that means that we get 2 days off. Which is pretty cool if you ask me. So basically I will be able to try this shithead right here for 4 days in a row. Right? Like, what a better way of spending my mini holidays than trying to defeat this asshole, right? Oh, come on. Also, maybe, just maybe, today I might end the stream sooner than usual because, I mean, not now, but a little bit sooner than usual because I'm pretty sleepy, I gotta say. I didn't sleep that well these days, right? So I wanna make sure that I at least sleep well today, so at the very least I will have enough energy to try this shithead on Friday night. Dang it. Damn, we're about to reach 666 deaths. I hope the devil doesn't claim my soul. Damn, there we go. 666 deaths. Everyone grab your shizus. Okay, never mind. You don't need to do that anymore. We're already past that. Whew. I jumped too high, damn it. Fuck. Also, I'm pretty close to reach Thundit amount of deaths, like the amount of deaths that it took him to beat this boss, which was around 700 and something, which is pretty nice. Damn it. No. Fuck. No. That's getting pretty lucky, right? Pretty lucky. Also, Rayman, are you still there? Because I remember something about yesterday. No, I think it was. Was it yesterday? No, it probably was 2 days ago, but I remember something that was, you know, pretty interesting. Yeah, well, you mentioned basically that in Russia you had pirate translations of games, right? I forgot to mention that around here they are also extremely popular. Like, you have games like, for example, especially things like Dragon Ball games. They didn't have an official Spanish translation, so the fans just made one. I mean, they probably took the English game and they translated from English, but still, it's pretty impressive that they will go those lengths. They basically had a fan translation of Budokai Tenkaichi 3 on Spanish, Italian, and French, and some other language that I don't remember. It was pretty impressive. It's pretty amazing what Dragon Ball can do around here, huh? And obviously Tenkaichi 3 was like the promised land, right? Was like one of the most successful games around here. Well, if you don't count the football games, right? But yeah, Budokai Tenkaichi 3 was such a successful game that it's just insane how much, you know, how good the reception here was. It's still one of my favorite games, by the way. Like, one of my favorite games ever, right? And the only reason why I don't play it on stream is because I don't feel like I could make much interesting things by playing it. Right translation for PS2, the Symphony of the Night is better than official one for PS4 version. Well, usually the fans are better when it comes to translation, unless their knowledge from the original language is bad. They are usually better because they understand the contents of the works way better, right, than actual official translators. Like for example in Toho, right? In Toho we got an episode of Toho 15.5, which is Antinomy of Common Flowers. That game, as any Toho game, has a fan translation, right? In English. However, the game actually was the only official Toho game to have an official English translation, and the quality of the translation was quite questionable. So I feel like when it comes to fan works, fans are always like gonna make a better translation than the original, right? Because they should understand the context way better than any random dude that just happens to know both languages. Like if an actual fan knows both languages, then he's probably gonna do way better than any qualified translator that doesn't know anything about the game. Pirate Demon Soul translation is the reason why I played it in English. Yeah. Well, there is also, this is kind of related to pirated translation, but it's relevant for the translation part, right? There are some translations, like for example, it is a pretty specific scenario, and it's not the fault of the translation, but it's more the fault of the language, right? So basically, Dark Souls 1, right? I'm pretty sure. No, Dark Souls 1. Wait, was it Dark Souls 1? No, it was Dark Souls 2. Yeah, it was Dark Souls 2. Basically, in Dark Souls 2, there is a boss that is called the Lost Sinner, I think. If I'm not mistaken, that's her name. Right? Basically, a boss that is covered in armor and has a big ass sword. Well, that boss in English is called the Lost Sinner, right? Now the thing with Lost Sinner and the fact that the boss is covered in armor, you don't realize, but the boss is actually female, which is something that you can clearly see on the Spanish translation, because it's called like la pecadora perdida, which means it means that, but the thing is that it's used as a noun and a gender noun, right? So basically in that case you can clearly see that you're talking about a woman in a pretty cover armor. Yeah, in Russian translation it's probably gonna be the same. Basically the only language that couldn't, or at least one of the only languages that couldn't make that point through, is English, because it has no way without sounding really stupid, right? Because otherwise it will have to be something like the Lost Female Sinner, which is completely stupid if someone translated it like that. But it obviously is one of the limitations of the language in that case. Obviously in Japanese it's probably gonna be something like it will also include the gender, because it will probably have the female kanji in there. Yeah, completely pepega. Someone actually translated it as the Lost Female Sinner. But yeah, that's one of the reasons why sometimes having games translated in a language like Spanish allows for better, interpretation of the original thing, right? Because Japanese is also a language where a lot of the meaning is lost when you translate it to English. So a language like Spanish can probably convey that meaning in a more faithful way. And not just Spanish, but like any other language that has those kind of quirks, I will say that it has a pretty good chance at you know, getting an actual accurate translation. The problem obviously is that there is a lot of Spanish translation which, instead of being based on the Japanese ones, are based on the English ones. So they are basically sometimes as inaccurate as the English ones. And let's not forget that even if the English translation is kinda accurate, you're basically translating something twice, so a lot of the meaning is lost in the middle. So yeah, that's sometimes an advantage of Spanish translation. For example, Dragon God in Rupert translates something like God of Dragons. Yeah, I don't remember that, but yeah, there's probably a lot of instances like that. But yeah, that's like one exception, because as I say, normally most Spanish translation are based on the English translation. If you have to translate from Japanese, a lot of stuff get lost like that. Thankfully Dark Souls is not one of those. But yeah. Yeah, it's just a little fun fact of the day. Translations are pretty funny, I gotta say. Well, I don't know if funny is the word, but I will say that they are pretty interesting, to say the least. Which is the reason why, for example, even if I can speak, or at least I can try speaking both Spanish and English, I probably wouldn't be a good translator, because translating takes more than just knowing both languages. It takes like knowing when to use certain expressions, what will be like the most expected word in certain scenarios, and all that stuff that just knowing both languages you wouldn't really be able to do. You actually have to have a notion of how translation works. Well, that, and also a somewhat advanced, you know, knowledge of both languages. So yeah. Fucker. How did you learn English, by the way? Well, in here, around here we have both in, how's it called? In middle school and in high school we have English as a normal, as like a signature, right? So basically you start with English when you are really young. And after that, you know, in case it might not look like it, I'm a pretty big video game fan. Yeah, I know that playing this game might not look like it, right? I'm just kidding. I'm obviously a pretty big video game fan, but that's what really helps with things like vocabulary and sometimes grammatic, right? When you start playing a shit ton of video games, and obviously a lot of them are not available in Spanish, especially back in the day. A lot of the games were just not available in Spanish. So you basically had to deal with English. I mean, sometimes you had to deal with Japanese, which was even worse, but when you had to deal with English, the good thing is that you already had a pretty strong base in school, and then you just get practice when you go home. by basically reading all these games with their English. And obviously when you start playing especially like the same games over and over, or when you know, start seeing words being repeated in different games, you start, you know, learning a lot of vocabulary, and sometimes you start learning a lot of grammar too, even if grammar is more something a little bit more advanced. When you see certain, you know, structures, you start learning simple things, like for example, you know, in Spanish the way the nouns are you know, paired with the adjectives is that you use first the noun and then the adjective, right? So basically if you say something like caja roja, right, it basically means red boats. But the thing is that red right there is the last word, it's not the first one. So things like that, you start learning them pretty quickly when you play video games. That if you want to say red boats, you're supposed to say red first and not second, right? Things like that. And then obviously you start learning a lot of other, you know, pretty valuable lessons by playing video games. So yeah, I will say that all of that shit really helps a lot. And then, oh wait, what's here? Oh, more? Okay. Well, okay. Oh shit. Oh, so that's how it's gonna be. Wow. Damn, the blood splat too. Even the shitty spider, no, this is... You can do this. Wow. Well, that was pretty... Damn, no, don't do this to me. And after that you get on the ship. Wow. This is more than... Wow. Are you serious? Wow. You know, instead of actually being a learning experience, this is more frustrating. Like, looking at this screen right now looks more frustrating than anything. Holy fuck. And he keeps going. He didn't stop yet. He just keeps going. Holy fuck, dude. It seems like at least that's the last attack. No. He has more? No, I think that's the last one. Wow. Yeah, that's the last part. Holy shit. This, instead of actually making me learn how the last phase was gonna be, actually was pretty demoralizing. Holy fuck. Let me keep up with chat because I said a lot of shit and I also saw this, so I wanna read what chat say. Pirate Emish S1 translation for PC is even more crappy because they tried to dub it. Damn. Games helped me a ton too, school helped me a lot as well. Yeah, now we see my frustration face. Nice progress, thanks. Some Toho fun? Yeah, that's gonna be some Toho fun. Holy fuck, so that's what is awaiting for me. Wow. Yeah, that's gonna be a lot of salt. Well, what I was saying before I saw that phase is that Yeah, basically video games help you a lot with English, and after video games, because obviously it doesn't end with video games, because if you wanna actually speak English, most of the video games don't really have voice to actually teach you that. I mean, obviously some of them have, but I will say that the majority of the games, especially around that age, didn't have voice acting, right? So you were pretty much learning how to read. So the way I actually learned to talk and listen to English is basically by streams, Twitch streams. You know, before I actually started streaming, I watched a lot of streams about, you know, pretty different things, right? Mostly, you know, fighting games, tournaments and all that shit. And also, you know, some streamers that I personally liked a lot. And by listening to people almost all day, every day in English, eventually you start learning pronunciation. And you start learning how to make some simple sentences. And by learning some simple sentences, even if you're not an expert at grammar, you can start, you know, saying some pretty interesting stuff. You don't really need to be a master at grammar to be able to talk like this, right? I mean, if you know some simple phrases, like if you should say some simple phrases, you can pretty much, you know, do a lot of impressive talking before you realize. Of course, at first, the amount of things that you say are probably gonna be really limited. You can probably discuss a lot of stuff because there are just some things that you won't be able to say because you don't know how to say. But at some point, you start learning those, you know, hard words and expressions that you never knew how to say, and eventually, like, you struggle so much saying them that you just learn them by force. So yeah, that was basically the story of how I learned English. Hope you liked it. Probably gonna turn into a manga and then an anime about how I learned English, right? Nah, just kidding. My art skills are trash. YouTube and Twitch were really useful for me. I used to watch fighting game tournaments too. Yeah, they were pretty fun. Insulting teammates in Dota helped me a lot. Helped me a bit. Insulting teammates as in teammates that insulted you. No, I think he's talking about he himself insulting teammates. Although, honestly, learning that way can be a little bit both, okay. Basically, learning that way can be a little bit hard, right? Because I have some example of some streamers, some Osu streamers, you know, Osu is a reading game, right? Some Osu streamers, is obviously the ones that aren't native speakers, they learn English through the internet, right? The problem is that most of the stuff they watch are shit posts or things like that, you know, it's just people saying bad words every 3 seconds, and when they actually start trying to speak English, they basically slide fucking every 10 seconds. Like every 10 seconds they have to use the word fuck or fucking, because they don't know how else to talk. And that's pretty fucked up, you know. Yeah, I also use that word there, but like, it is kinda, you know, fucked up when you think about it. Because you're basically teaching someone how to speak English by saying some pretty, you know, saying some words or at least some combinations of words that you normally wouldn't like to use outside of the internet, right? Like if I wanted to have a normal conversation, right, with a tourist, right? Like let's say that we have a tourist that I meet on the street and they want to know how to get to some place, right? I mean, aside from the fact that I suck at giving directions, but let's say that I was actually good at giving directions, I will be able to at least hold like a conversation, a normal conversation, right? And probably help him out. But the people that actually learn English through shitbots and memes, they basically can't speak English without saying a bad word every 10 seconds. And yeah, that's a problem if you actually want to talk to real people outside of the internet. No one uses voice chat in Dota to copyright, people only use it to insult each other. Nice. It's like speaking Japanese with anime intonation. Yeah, pretty much. Like imagine calling someone oi, omae wa, like, yeah. Like try saying omae to someone and see if they like it. Basically, I'm not an expert, right? But I'm pretty sure omae means like something that is in front of you, right? So you're not even acknowledging who is in, like the person. You're acknowledging something in front of you. Like imagine talking to people using something like omae, like without, like outside of friends, I mean, obviously. Like try doing that and see how it goes. Yeah, that's how it probably feels to speak English by learning it through shitbots and stuff like that. Yeah, that's pretty much. Or imagine calling people Yaro, right? I imagine that omae could be something formal in the past. Yeah, it's kinda like Kisama, right? Nowadays, apparently Kisama means something like damn you or like you bastard or shit like that. But Kisama was something like your highness, right? Something like you will say to someone that you have an immaculate amount of respect to. Kinda like the emperor or something like that. But like nowadays it's kind of like you use it to mock someone, like you're using an excess of respect to insult them. Kind of like, well, it's kind of like you were going around in the street and saying your highness to someone. You don't want to say your highness to someone, right? They will probably feel like you are making fun of them. Well, with Kisama, I think the story about that word is kind of the same. Yeah, I think that's how it goes. I'm not an expert, but I think that's how it works. Given that Japanese doesn't really have pronouns. Yeah, I'm really not an expert at Japanese, but when I read some of that stuff, I'm like, damn, I have to be really careful about what I say. I thought it was always bad. No, I think it was like that. It's like basically that sama part at the end kind of like gives it out, right? Like it was supposed to be used in a pretty highly honorific situation, right? But yeah, there's also things that aren't really that obvious to someone that doesn't really know that much of Japanese. So for example, there is a little, story about someone in like a supermarket in Japan that apparently, accidentally hit someone. Like when I say hit, I mean accidentally run into someone, and I think it was like an old person, right? And instead of saying something like gomenasai, they say gomene, which apparently means the same shit, but it's really informal. Like, apparently it's a pretty informal way of saying I'm sorry. And basically they felt like shit because basically not only they said it to someone that knows Japanese, but they said it to someone who was old. So that's kind of like double the disrespect. And yeah, the poor guys, you know, should say whatever came at their minds at first, but for that old person, it probably looked disrespectful as fuck, right? So yeah, which is also, you know, kanjis are the main reason why I really stopped trying to learn Japanese, right? But things like that, like the extreme amount of respect that you have to a stranger, it's just like, nah, dude, I don't really want to do that. Like, I mean, sure, I obviously want to respect people, right? But when it comes a matter of, you know, shit like that, that is really minuscule, but apparently it's a huge deal, I'm like, yeah, no thanks. And I'm sorry will be better in that situation, yeah, because if they say something like a pretty fucked up I'm sorry, the person will definitely understand that it's a foreigner that doesn't really know Japanese, and they probably try to say sorry, right? But yeah, honestly, I feel like there's a lot of fucked up things in Japanese, and I'm not just talking about the language, I'm talking about the culture itself that I'm honestly not interested in being a part of. So yeah. Not even in anime they will say gomene to an older person or old. Yeah, I don't even know how disrespectful it is. I just know that it's an informal way, but I didn't even know that it was that bad. Use it with friends basically? Oh, I see. Yeah, I remember. Well, I actually have an instance of a piece of Japanese media where there is a villain that says Gomene. Basically, this game, Guilty Shear Edge, which is a fighting game, the final boss of the game, which is called Ino, which is basically like a guitarist, when you defeat her, she says Gomene before falling to the ground. In a pretty distasteful way. So yeah, I can say that it's probably something like that. Although it's kind of weird why she said when you knock her out instead of the opposite, but you know, whatever. The thing is that, yeah, I learned about it that way. Because basically if you want to defeat Ino in that game and you're not that good at fighting games, you're gonna be fighting her for a pretty long time. So yeah, I eventually learned that she said that. Although probably like in that situation with like the grocery store with the old person, probably a better word to use will be something like sumimasen, right? Which is kind of like the standard word that you will use when you run into someone. Although honestly I don't know why you will run into someone that frequently. But let's say that you're the kind of person that doesn't really pay attention to anything, then I guess a word like sumimasen will be pretty useful. Yeah. Yeah, seems like the standard to-go word whenever you fuck up in public. Yeah, Japanese is it's pretty interesting. Even if it's something that I probably will never learn, it's something that is definitely interesting. You really can't deny that. Definitely a pretty interesting language and culture. Just at least because of how unique they are. But yeah. At least coming from like a South American or like an Occidental background, I guess you could say, it's kinda interesting. Maybe another Asian countries don't really find it that different from what they already have, but yeah. You know, I really wanted, like, I definitely really wanted to learn Japanese at some point, because Japan is one of those countries that is really isolated to the rest of the world, to the point where even pop culture is pretty unique to that place. A lot of the things that are popular in Japan or just successful in Japan don't really make their way overseas, right? So the only way to get a hold of them, at the very least, is knowing Japanese. Which is one of my main, or at least was one of my main motivations to learn the language. But yeah, kanjis just fucked me up so bad that I just lost interest. And then obviously there is a lot of aspects from the culture itself that I really don't like. But yeah, maybe who knows, at some point I might retake my studies. Probably not though, but you never know. There are good and bad methods for learning kanji. I think that's one of the problems, right? The fact that people can't make their mind about what's an easy, or sorry, what's a good or what's a bad method of learning kanji. Like, they just can't make up their mind. A lot of people say different stuff. And the problem is that we're talking about people that already know a lot. So it's not like we're talking about randoms on the internet just saying, oh, the best method to learn kanji is to write them on the wall right now. We're talking about people that apparently know a lot about what they're talking about, and their opinions just are pretty different. And in a context like that, it's pretty hard to know what the fuck to do in the first place. It also doesn't help that kanjis themselves are a pretty unoptimal way of using a language, which is, you know, obviously not an excuse if you really want to learn them, but it's kind of like something that might not be really motivating. The problem is that the way the Japanese themselves learn it is what I would consider bad. I mean, they learn it because they spend like 9 hours at school learning, or 9 years at school. Yeah, but I mean, it's still pretty hard, regardless. I mean, there are some methods that basically involve using programs that are paid, that basically have like visual representations of the kanji to make you be able to remember it better, and learning radicals and all that shit. The problem is that I really don't feel like spending money on something that I don't even know that it's gonna be worth it at the end. Especially with something that I don't even know if I want to do, right? Because the method could be pretty nice, but if I don't have the will to follow it, it's kinda pointless, right? That's why I found was learning the pieces that the kanji is composed of. Yeah, basically the radicals, yeah, indeed. A lot of people say that, but I feel like learning by radicals is not really a good way, because the thing about the radicals is that a lot of radicals are completely useless, in the sense that they are just that. They are just pure radicals. They don't serve any purpose other than forming kanjis. And the thing about learning any language, and something that really helps, is reading. So the problem about about learning with radicals is that you're gonna have a hard time reading a lot of stuff that is pretty common, just because there's a lot of basic kanji that you don't learn until much later, because their stroke count is really big, right? So you end up learning kanjis that are really important really late, and that means that you probably won't be able to even read any piece of text, because a lot of the basic shit you just don't learn it because you're going the radical way. I don't know, I really don't know if it's still accurate or not, because I never tried it, and I really doubt that I will try it, but it feels that way. If you learn with radicals, you will probably learn the kanjis, but you wouldn't really be able to put it into practice until much later. Because as I said, a lot of the essential kanjis, you're probably gonna learn them a lot later. And as I say, that means that you won't be able to read a lot of stuff that you probably should be able to read. But yeah, that's why I didn't like the method. But then again, the other option is basically just memorizing all that shit by repetition. So I'm honestly not really convinced about either method. You're gonna have to learn a lot of them anyway. The essential ones could wait a bit until you're ready to build them. Yeah, the problem is that at that point it might be easy to learn them, but the problem is it really gonna be easy to remember them if you can't put them into practice? Cause, I mean, sure, you're gonna be able to build kanjis, and for probably a week you're gonna be able to remember them and probably write them. The problem is, if you don't practice it, because we're talking about kanjis that are pretty obscure, are you really gonna remember them if you're not really reading them? That's my biggest problem. Fucker. You remember them because you see them in other useful kanji. Yeah, the problem is that you really won't be able to read those useful kanjis until much later. But then again, I probably don't know what I'm talking about in any case, so that you don't forget if you use a lot. That's the kanji for child, right? Like the one that is pronounced ko. I mean the second one. Yeah, nice. I remember that one because it's basically the kanji that is present in my favorite character, my favorite Toho character, which is Suwako, where actually her last kanji is that one. Well, there's also another kanji that is pretty easy to remember, which is the kanji for woman, because you see it in a lot of other words, and well, also a lot of other kanjis. For example, the kanji for Sakura has, you know, the kanji for woman in it. The kanji for, or at least the, not the kanji, but like the word for love also has that kanji in there. And then you have compounds word like goddess, that is literally megami, and that me is the woman kanji too. The first one has a more complicated meaning, so that's why some people are opposed to teaching it first. Yeah, I can see that. Like, yeah, it's a more abstract thing. I honestly don't know. But then again, I feel like the real reason why I don't really want to learn kanji is because I'm really lazy. Because at least with English, even if you suck at English, but you know your main language is a language that uses the Latin alphabet, at the very least you will be able to read what, you know, what there is written in whatever piece of media, right? So at the very least you will be able to memorize through that. But when it comes to Japanese, there is no way to do that unless you learn the kanjis first. English has problems as well. Oh, it obviously has problems, but I'm just saying that languages that have Latin characters are a lot easier to learn if your native language also uses Latin characters. So yeah, that's pretty much the thing. You have to know if the letters are being used the regular way. Well, something that is pretty fucked about English is the pronunciation. I mean, in fact, we were talking about languages the other day, where basically English is pretty much one of the easiest to learn, just because it doesn't have complicated stuff like gendered nouns or complex verb conjugations. But obviously the main problem of English is the completely fucked up pronunciation that it has. But yeah, that's pretty much what we were talking about the other day. Nice. Damn, what a shit. Wow. Nice, that's getting pretty lucky, huh? Spanish is one of the best languages on regards to orthography. I wouldn't say in regards of orthography. I will say in regards to pronunciation. In regards to orthography, Spanish is really picky. In regards to orthography, Spanish is a pretty picky language. I feel like one of the best things about Spanish is pronunciation. Orthography though, yeah, pronunciation is pretty easy and probably one of the easiest in the world maybe. Yeah, when it comes to orthography in Spanish is trash. Even it's so trash that even native speakers sometimes have trouble knowing what letter to use sometimes. Because, you know, you have letters that sound exactly the same, like for example the two B's that it says, right? Or then you have a word with like C or an S, and those are also pronounced the same in some instances. And then you also have the problem that the H is mute, so sometimes you forget that it's there, but it is there. Italian is one of the easiest to spell. It's pretty similar to Spanish too. I tried to learn a bit of Italian and it was pretty similar in a lot of things, but yeah, the pronunciation was also one of them. Wow, that was pretty bad. Damn it. I speak Spanish sometimes. I pronounce letters that are pronounced the same in a different way, like B and B. Yeah, exactly. Those letters, normally everyone that speaks Spanish, unless it's someone that is really refined, I tend to differentiate them. Well, yeah, pretty much most native speakers don't differentiate them. And that's the reason why I feel like Spanish orthography is trash, because those two letters, like one of those two letters shouldn't exist, because it's almost the same shit. Nobody really pronounces them that different, so I feel like there's no purpose for both of those letters to exist. Like, you should have to pick one of them. But yeah, you know, that's one of my little complaints about Spanish. Although then again, I'm coming from a country that basically murdered Spanish, so is it weird to the native ear if someone differentiates B or B or Y and well, it depends where you are. Like, for example, I'm here in Argentina, right? Argentina is a country that is pretty known for completely murdering Spanish. So basically we have a lot of verb conjugations that don't exist in normal Spanish, right? Like, for example, you know, normally you will say you saying tú, right? You say tú instead of what we say here, which is vos. That's something that is only here in this country. Nobody uses that pronoun anywhere. Maybe with the exception of some Spanish from Spain people, but they don't use it the same word we use it. So yeah, if you ask me, it's not a really good idea because Argentinians are already really particular when it comes to the Spanish that we speak. And honestly, anything that sounds remotely different from here is already incredibly noticeable. Not because it's bad, but because our Spanish is so bad that it's pretty easy to differentiate when someone isn't speaking our way, right? I think a pretty good example of that is also on French, on Canada. You know, there is this city called Quebec, right? Quebec is a city that speaks French, but the French from Quebec is not the same as the French from France, right? So when you're from Quebec and you listen to someone speaking French and it's not from Quebec, right? You instantly notice, but you don't instantly notice because the other person is speaking wrong. It's just that you instantly notice because it's nothing like what the native people there speak. So yeah, if you come to this country, no matter how good you are at Spanish, I will instantly notice that you're not from here. And that's not a bad thing. That's actually a bad thing for us, not for you. It's a bad thing for us because it really speaks a lot of how fucked up our Spanish is, but yeah. When I saw sauce online the first time, thought they were sending an SOS, yeah. I thought it had something to do with soys. Yeah, it actually has to do with, it's the equivalent of eres, which means you are, right? it also, like, that's the only way. Sois actually is son here, because that's also something that is pretty interesting, that is not, you know, exclusive to Argentina, but it's also something that pretty much every Latin American country has, that instead of using the pronoun vosotros, right, which means you in plural, we use ustedes, which means the same shit, it's just that it's a different word. Yeah, exactly. Only Spain uses vosotros, right? So that's also another thing to consider. You will sound unnatural depending on where you are, and that's nothing to worry. Like, if I go to, I don't know, Chile, like, let's say I go to Chile right now, right? Even a country that is right next to us, everyone is gonna notice that I'm from here. Like, everyone is gonna notice that I'm not from there. Instantly. So, honestly, you shouldn't worry about what people find unnatural with your Spanish. You should worry about making yourself clear with what you say. Like, making sure people understand. You shouldn't worry about feeling unnatural, because everyone is gonna notice that you're not from here. The only way to avoid that, if you really care about that, is by living here a long time, to the point that you get used to the accent. But it really isn't worth it. So just take my advice, and you shouldn't care about what others think, how unnatural your Spanish sounds. As long as they understand what you're saying, it should be fine. Yeah, it's pretty funny, specifically because, as I said, Argentina is a country that basically took Spanish and completely murdered it multiple times with a knife. That's pretty much what Argentinian Spanish is. It's the Spanish with a twist, kinda. A pretty fucked up twist at that. But yeah. As long as people understand what you're saying, it doesn't matter if you don't sound like them. You should only need to worry about making yourself easy to understand. Or not even easy, like just being able to communicate what you're trying to say. For me, reading Spanish is fine. Being a native Portuguese speaker, what is difficulty for me is the really fast pronunciation. Well, it's not really that the pronunciation is fast. That's something that happens with every language. When you're just learning a language, you feel like everyone is talking really fast. But it's not like they are talking fast, it's just that you are unable to keep up with what they're saying. Because that's also something that happened with English to me, right? Like, wait a second, please wait until I can understand what you're saying, right? When someone speaks English, I'm like, you're going too fast. In reality, it's not like they're going fast, it's just that you're going slow. That's something that happens to everyone for whatever language. But yeah, it's something like that. It's efficient pronunciation, not really fast, right? I don't know. I honestly don't feel like Spanish is faster to pronounce than any other language. Obviously, there are some people that speak faster than others, but at the end of the day, I feel like it's not a fast language. I mean, honestly, I don't think there are any fast languages. Obviously, there are a lot of people that actually try to, as you say, make pronunciation more efficient, and sometimes they just cut out words, right? Let me give you an example. Sometimes a lot of people don't pronounce the S's at the end of a word. So for example, let's say that you have to say something like we're going to go somewhere, right? Like you will probably say like you normally will use vamos, right? Which means we are going to, or you know, something close to that. And instead of saying vamos, sometimes you will say vamos without the S, because you're speaking in a way that you just want to get over with whatever you're saying. That can happen, but then again, that's not correct Spanish, technically. Like, if you do that, you're technically not speaking, you know, right Spanish. But then again, something that a lot of South Americans have even ingrained in the culture is that usually we don't care that much about details. So if we don't pronounce an S, it's not something that we really take a problem with, right? So yeah, there's that. Some studies show that because Spanish has longer words compared to our language, they tend to be pronounced faster. Yeah, and it also tends to have like cut letters or cut syllables because of this, right? Like you should try to cut them down because you don't want to deal with the whole thing. I mean, there's also been examples of words that were officially cut down. And there is also a pretty concrete example about that. You know, darkness in Spanish used to be pronounced obscuridad, right? However, as time passed, that B in between the O and the S got lifted, and now you should say oscuridad without pronouncing the B. And things like that are really common, and are even common even if it's not an actual thing in the language. Like it's common just because people don't want to pronounce the whole thing. So yeah, in that case you will be right that it's fast, but I wouldn't say that that's actual Spanish. That's just, you know, someone speaking informally, kinda. In Brazil, we say sometimes instead of vamos as well, but it doesn't extend to the whole language. Yeah, it really depends. Then again, if you're watching an official broadcast of some news or something like that that has actual serious journalists, which is pretty hard to find nowadays, by the way. There's barely any serious journalists left. All of the journalists that are left in television are mostly jokers that don't deserve to be there in the first place. But if you find someone that is actually not a joke, you might see that they speak kinda, you know, pause, like they speak normally. If this is the final boss, indeed it is. Who is it going, Mr. Tusk? Yep, this is the final boss. Indeed, it's literally a box of oatmeal. I think a box of salt will be more fitting, but I guess they just really liked oatmeal after all. Damn, that was a pretty bad jump. I did it anyways. And it's a pretty long boss too. So if you think he's dead there, you are wrong. Awfully wrong. That's just like the breakfast, right? That's just like, that was just a warm-up. The real shit starts here. Well, not even here. The real shit starts after this. So yeah, you can tell that this is some pretty hard shit right here. And yeah, I'm not even talking about this attack. I'm talking about what's after this. So yeah, you can tell that this is the final boss by how fucked up it is. It will be salt on top of salt, yeah, pretty much. It will be salt everywhere. But yeah, as you can see, this boss is pretty fucked up. And it gets harder afterwards. So yeah. The good thing about that is that you're gonna be seeing Boshy for a long time, right? So if you like the game, you won't have to worry about me ending it soon, because it's gonna take a shitload of time. So I guess that's a good thing for those who like seeing it. So yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah, it's Boshy time, pretty much. Every day, no matter what, it's Boshy time. Oh, and it fucked me up, what a bitch. Yeah, pretty much. Oh, and also Mr. Tusk here is pretty afraid of games like this. He's afraid of games like this because he feels like if he plays them, he will probably break something in half. My pussy, yeah, pretty much. But it's fine, I mean. Honestly, I'd rather you to not play this game. Like, I would prefer you to not play this game instead of breaking something in half. Especially if it's someone's face. That's the problem. I mean, breaking, like, you know, a keyboard in half might not be that big of a deal unless it's a mechanical keyboard, but, right? It might not be that big of a deal, but you might want to break someone's faces in half after playing this. So honestly, I think I'm kind of glad that you're playing it, because after all, I'm the one that sits next to you on work, so, you know, any collateral damage will be inflicted to me. It's RNG's time, yeah, it's also that. You know, it's kinda weird, right? And kinda fucked up too, but one of my main motivations to beat this boss... Yeah, I know this is probably even a little bit childish, right? One of my main motivations to beat this boss is that Forsen gave up on it. Also, don't worry, I really like Forsen, I have nothing against him. But the fact that he gave up, and he's used to play this kind of games, is something that really gives me motivations to try and beat it. Obviously that motivation can bite me in the ass, because in the end I might give up too. I mean, I don't know, maybe sometime I'm gonna grow so tired of this boss that I'm actually gonna give up. I don't know. It's still not something that I know with any certainty, but yeah, the fact that Forsen gave up on this really gave me a lot of motivation. Has Forrest played Toho? No, I'm pretty sure he hasn't played Toho. But he usually plays games like, for example, the other day he was playing Champ King, which is basically a game where you have to, well, champ. But the problem is that the controls are so specific that any bad movement can lead you to fall and lose a shit ton of progress. So he usually plays games like those, right? So yeah. I also saw him the other day play Balance-a-lot, which is basically a game where you are like a Lancelot knight, but you're like riding a motorcycle, right? So basically you have to go through all kinds of shit with some pretty nasty balance. And yeah, it's just kinda hard. Although I guess those kind of games are harder because of the controls instead of the actual level design. This one is hard because it's hard, because the level design is hard. Which is something that I really appreciate about this game. A lot of games that are labeled as hard games are just hard because they are made purposely to suck when it comes to controls, right? I guess one of the most famous examples is I actually forgot the name of the game, but that one where you're basically a marathon runner, right? And you have to use all of your limbs to run. I forgot the name of the game, but that one was one of the pretty... yeah, exactly, that one. KWOP. Or QWOP, I guess. That one is a pretty hard game, but it's not hard just because, you know, it's well done. It's hard because the controls are shit, which is obviously like the idea, right? Like the idea is that the controls are shit and that's what makes the game hard. But yeah, I don't like those kind of games normally. I prefer something like this where the controls are amazing, and really the hard thing is that the level design is just hard. I feel like that's the right formula to make a hard game. Because if you make a hard game just with shitty controls, I mean, most of the time you will be complaining about the controls instead of actually enjoying the game, right? Here obviously you can complain that a part is too hard or something like that, but you can't blame the controls for that. You have the upper hand here clearly. Thanks, but yeah, I think I might have the upper hand, because I'm a pretty big Toho fan. Then again, it's not like I'm especially good at Toho, at least not compared to what other players can do, but yeah, I guess playing a lot of Toho can really prepare you for shit like this game throws at you. Have you played Unbread? I haven't played, but I've seen it. It's a game where, well, you're a bread and you try to get to a toaster. I've seen it. I've seen Markiplier play it. I mean, before Markiplier, I've seen a Spanish YouTuber, but yeah, I've seen it. It looks fun, but then again, it's one of those games that are just hard because the controls are trash. And I feel like that's not the right formula to make a game hard. If you wanna make a game hard and fun, you better make the controls good and just worry about the rest of the game to make it hard. I feel like no matter what, in any game, the controls should be easy to use and should feel good. Like, it shouldn't feel like half the difficulty is getting used to the controls. The controls should be something that you get used to, like at first, like the first seconds that you play the game. You should get used to the controls there. Obviously you can perfect them later on, right? But you should be able to get used to the controls right as you're about to start the game. Because otherwise it's kinda like you cannot even play the game properly. I feel like that's a pretty bad decision when it comes to making these hard games, right? You want the controls to be good. Otherwise, people are probably just gonna forget it. Well, not forget it, I mean, are gonna remember it as, you know, that game with shitty controls, right? Instead, people remember Boshy because it's a hard game. And nobody can complain about the controls. And even if some bosses have questionable design choices, the game itself is incredibly well done. So a lot of people, when they play Boshy and give up, it's just like, no, this game is too hard for me. They don't say like the game is bullshit. Well, I mean, some of them say it, but they are just lying to themselves. That game will be a good balance. Oh, that game will be a good balance between that hard design versus hard control thing you talk about. Yeah, but I feel like there shouldn't be a balance. Like, control should be good no matter what. Like, should be easy no matter what. Unless obviously we're talking about a simulation game, right? If you're talking about Gran Turismo, right? Or we're talking about a flight simulator. Obviously there the controls are expected to be hard because it's trying to emulate the real thing, right? When you're playing a game like I Am Bread, where you literally play as a slice of bread, I don't think you really want to worry about realism, right? So yeah, that's just my opinion, obviously, but I feel like, yeah, hard controls are never a good choice unless it's a simulator. Fucker. What about fighting game though? I mean, most fighting games are... I mean, the hard part about fighting games is doing... I mean, a lot of fighting games, not every single one of them, but one of the hardest part about fighting games is doing combos, right? The thing about doing combos is that that's already something complex, right? I feel like if you wanna compare like the controls of a fighting game to a platforming game, I will say that you should compare how easy it is to make a normal, right? A normal attack. And for the most part, normal attacks and even special attacks like a Hadouken, for example, are not that hard to do, at least not in modern fighting games. I know that the old Street Fighters were really hard to input things, and I'm honestly pretty against it, right? But I feel like doing combos sometimes is like the hard thing, because it's like the challenge itself, while the controls are just the normal attacks and the special attacks, which again, to me, they aren't that hard to do. That boss again, yeah, it is indeed. Who is it going, Yukari? Yeah, you're gonna be seeing this boss for a pretty long time, because this is the final boss, right? And this is the final boss that is pretty infamous for making Forsen quit. And just as Forsen quit this, I'm pretty sure a lot of people also quit this boss because of how hard it is. So honestly, you're gonna be seeing this boss a lot. Until I can beat it, that is. But yeah, until that happens, it's gonna be a pretty long time probably. So yeah, sorry about that if you don't like watching it, but yeah, it's definitely gonna take a long time, and it's probably gonna be here for a long time too. The Great Wall of Salt, yeah. It's kinda like the Great Wall of China, but the difference is that it doesn't protect you. Instead, it just increases your cholesterol levels. Nice. Wow. The first bullet killed me. The very first bullet. Not the second one, not the third one, no. The first one. Nice. But yeah, this boss is pretty hard. So I will be surprised if I can beat this boss before the next week. Well, although that will depend on how much I stream this weekend. Let's not forget that this weekend is a long weekend. Like Monday and Tuesday are gonna be days off. So I probably, those 4 days, you know, normally I stream at night, right? But on those days, since I don't have to work, I will probably stream on the afternoon first and then at night, like 2 times. Yeah, 2 times like Dr. Disrespect. But yeah, pretty much I'm gonna be trying it a lot. So I don't think, depending on how much I played, maybe I can defeat it this week. Maybe. Who knows? I need to stay strong. There is 11 days of war left before my 2 weeks of vacation. Oh, you definitely can do it. You just need a little bit of motivation. Kinda like me with this boss. You definitely need a lot of motivation to beat this boss. And as I say, one of my biggest motivations are the fact that Forsen quit in this boss. Yeah, and also that you need more violence, speed and momentum, the 2 times. 2 times. It's pretty funny how even that can be used to talk shit about the dog. Even the 2 times thing can be used to talk shit. It's amazing. And then again, I'm one of those that laughs at everything that Forsen chat says. So honestly, I think my brain is already rotten. So don't worry about it. Violence, speed and momentum. You know something that I should notice? My amount of tries is already bigger than Thundit's amount of tries. He basically beat this boss at around this amount of tries, maybe a little bit less than this. So that's already a big mark. But yeah, there's gonna be a lot of this shit. When I say a lot of this shit, I mean a lot of this boss. I also hope that since this is a big weekend, that my internet actually works properly, because here's the thing, right? The infrastructure in this country when it comes to network communications is trash, right? I think I already say that a lot of times, but the problem here is that since it's so trash, if a lot of people are connected at it at the same time, it might not work properly. So even if I really want to play this on the weekend, I might get problems with the internet just because everyone else will be using it. Well, there's also the probability of a lot of people going on a vacation, which means that there will be less people in the city using internet. But you know, you never know, honestly, with how shitty internet is. But yeah, I'm just saying that I hope it works properly for this weekend, because I really want to play a lot of this game until I eventually beat it. Because let's not forget that not only is this boss one of my objectives, the other objective is the Cheetah Man boss, which is an optional secret boss. So yeah, I hope that internet allows me to do that. Really hope. I mean, after all, you know, the reason why I'm so delayed when it comes to the upload of this playthrough, right, is because one of the streams basically didn't stop disconnecting, so I had to join all the parts together, and I tried to do it like 3 times and it didn't work. Like the audio got designed somehow because the codification or God knows what. So basically I'm stuck at that, which is the reason why you don't see me uploading much, because I'm stuck at that part. But I think I finally been able to do it with a program called actually I don't remember the name of the program. Something like Arbitrium or some shit. I know that it's a program that is pretty known in Linux as a video editor. Actually, let me check it out real quick. How the fuck it's called? It's called Hardon-mode. There we go. So if anyone is interested in joining and, you know, merging videos, that program is pretty useful. It's definitely more useful than all of the other shits that I tried that made me waste an insane amount of time. But then again, I still can't really say that I've done it, because I still have to upload the result. And if the result is as bad as the previous programs, then I gotta say that I regret saying that it was good. But you know, the only way of knowing that is actually uploading and seeing what the result is. Hopefully it's a satisfactory result, because I don't want to waste any more time trying to upload that shitty part. I mean, I want to keep uploading the most recent parts after all. Gonna go to the Sungabi, good luck on the grind. Thanks. I'm gonna go to, like, actually I was gonna say that I'm gonna go with when I reach 800 deaths. So let's make this the last try. After that didn't count as a try, right? I can't live after the first attack. Literally is the one that kills me, right? I mean, that will be... yeah, that also shouldn't count either, right? I mean, it's too soon to die. Here's the thing, I'm gonna keep going until I die against the RNG pattern. When I die to the RNG pattern, on the first phase that is, I'm gonna live there. Cause honestly, doing a last try like this, it's so dumb. Like, you just die to the first attack and you're like, oh okay, that's it, see you all next stream. Like, that will be really dumb. So I'm just gonna wait to the RNG pattern, which is the one that makes sense that I will get killed by this one. So if I get killed here, I'm gonna end the stream. And if I don't get killed, I will also end the stream. But that's a little bit hard. Yeah. Alright, so let's hit the save button just in case. There we go. So that's gonna be it for today. I wanna thank everyone a lot for watching, and I hope that I can see more progress, hopefully, because yeah, it's looking pretty tough. At least I got to the third phase. That's some progress, I think. I feel that's some progress. So yeah. Yeah, I'll be seeing you all on the next stream, and take care everyone.